Okay, so I wanted to talk about the film Django Unchained by Quentin Tarantino. And, and I just want to be honest about my opinions of the film. Now, in general, I didn't like the film. And I want to be upfront about that. On a 1 to 10, I would give it about a 6. And, I'm very conflicted about this film when I heard that Quentin Tarantino was going to release a film with slavery as a backdrop. And and I do want to say my relation to Quentin Tarantino films over the years. I've paid to see many Quentin Tarantino films. I think in the theater I saw Jackie Brown, Inglourious Bastards, and now Django. And I've also paid to own copies of Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs. And I would say the height of my Quentin Tarantino fandom was in the 90s after seeing films like Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction, which I really liked. And I remember back then really, really being into Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs. And I remember having a friend who also really loved those films. And we would trade lines from the movies all the time because, one of the things about his writing and his cinema at that time was really true. And, some of reality seemed to seep into his films and the way the actors talked and things of that nature. And certain issues that even cropped up in the films back then I overlooked. But the cinema was so good that those things were easy to overlook. So I just want to talk about the problems that I had with this particular film, Django, and also why I probably had those problems. And one of the main reasons I probably had those problems is that there are really three different types of film fans. Three. You have people who are into cinema of all types, whether it's foreign, domestic, comedies, dramas, action and adventure, whatever. They can get into any type of films because they love cinemas that much. That's like category A. Then you have like category B, who love cinema, but they kind of bend towards art cinema, cinema that's designed to have like an artistic merit. They're into documentaries, foreign films, and probably are not that satisfied with American Hollywood productions, at least modern Hollywood productions. Then you have the third type, C, if you will. And those, they love movies, but they tend to love movies of a certain type that are exploitation films, B movies, horror films, adventure movies of those types. And they really get excited by those type of movies. They're not interested in art films. They're not interested in foreign films. They're interested in American B movies. And the thing that was great about Quentin in the 90s is that although his cinema was very American, it seemed to take a lot of cues from foreign films. His dialogue was so sharp in the earlier films. And he told stories in an interesting way. And how he played with time and things of that nature in his first few films. It was really, really, really interesting cinema. Even his production company was called A Band Apart, which is a play on the name of the French language title of Band of Outsiders by one of my favorite directors, Jean-Luc Godard. So, and I remember him saying in interviews in the 90s, like he didn't want to be a movie maker, he wanted to be a cinema guy, he wanted to make cinema. But over time, and I think this really became noticeable in, what's the name of that film? Kill Bill. Now, Kill Bill, I have to be honest, I didn't see Kill Bill 2. Kill Bill 1, I saw the first half of it. I have yet to see the entire film because I really didn't enjoy it at all. But what Quentin seems to be doing now is Quentin is taking exploitation films, especially of the 70s and earlier, and he's infusing it with his talent as a director and a writer. But he still stays true to that same format of the exploitation films. Now, if you don't know, if you look at the movies that I've reviewed over time on this channel, you can see I'm in the column B. I like art films, I like documentaries, I like foreign films. Also American independence. I like movies that are challenging, that are more artistic than they are just pure entertainment. And that's the kind of films that I enjoy. Now, I do enjoy other types of films. There might even be some exploitation films that I enjoy. But in general, that's not the type of films that I really get excited about. So now that Quentin is doing basically exploitation cinema, just infusing it with his talent, I'm not as big a fan of his as I once was. And with this film, now Quentin has been accused by a lot of people in the business and out for his use. Is accused of being, I guess, closet racist because of his use of the N-word and how he infuses it into films. Just seems to force it into the film, where it doesn't even has any place in the storyline, but that's just how he writes. And I guess this reflects the language of the characters that he creates, that he wants to put that in there. But it is an artistic choice on his part, and he's been criticized for that. As I said, in his earlier films, because they were so good, although I didn't like his use of that word, I overlooked it because of, and then also, this is several years ago, and I was a different person then. Since then, as I'm really a fan of his films as much as I was previously, it bothers me more. And then I'm a changed person. I've grown, I'm matured. And that's one of the things that's changed about me. So when I heard he's creating a slave film, a film with slavery as part of the storyline, it really made me uncomfortable, knowing that now he feels justified, although he obviously felt justified previously in using the word, but now he clearly feels justified because of the time period and the subject matter of using that word continuously. And some people have counted, saying it's been used 110 times in Django. So, and just to talk about Django in a bit, watching the film, and I don't want to give away too much of the plot, because the film's only been out a week or so, and many more people are going to probably go see it. The film seemed fairly cartoonish to me. And, just like a basic exploitation film where the plot is not that detailed. The plot is very simple. And you basically get the entire plot of the entire movie in the first 5 minutes. The lack of sophistication. Also, the film, where Quentin in the 90s, he played with time. His films didn't have a necessarily start, middle, and he played with it. He rearranged things. Now his films are just straight up the middle. There's no deviation with time. It's just a start, a middle, and end. You might have some flashbacks in there, but all films do that. But still the narrative is a straight line. Something that he used so skillfully in his early films, he just abandoned now. Also, the violence is something that I'm not attracted to at all. And basically, again, a column B person. I'm more into storylines. I want to be challenged. And I think the violence that you see in some of these films are really disgusting. And in Django, it's really gratuitous and over-the-top violence. I mean, you could make Django into a cartoon, and it would be just the same level of believability as you see in the film that is in the theaters right now. So the use of the N-word that he has been accused of in the past, and he's just jumped forward and used it 50 times more than he has used it in any previous film. The cartoonish effects and the violence. Um, and also, if you read the script, now one of the things I did, because I really wasn't going to see the film, but after having discussions with other people who loved the movie or who really wanted to see the movie, I felt that I had to see it. But before I did that, I read the script first. And I thought it was interesting how certain things that was left out of the script, like the sexual violence that Kerry Washington, Broomhilda character suffered in the script, just wasn't as fleshed out in the movie. It wasn't shown at all in the movie. And I don't want to give out too much. But he made the artistic decision, because he was a writer of the script and a director, to leave out certain things. Certain levels of certain brutality that was in the script did not reach the film that's been released to the theaters. He made that artistic decision to leave certain things out. He could have also made an artistic decision in the language that was used in the film. He's a great writer. He's a great director. He could shape that film any way he wanted to. So the fact that he left it as is with the language that was used, he can be criticized for that. That was an artistic decision. It wasn't a historic decision because there's historic inaccuracies in the film. From, when I was reading the script, they refer to jelly beans a few times in the film, in the script. In the movie, they don't refer to it at all. They do show jelly beans, and if you've seen the film, you know what I'm talking about. One of the actresses drops jelly beans. She's startled, and she drops them on the floor. In the script, they actually refer to them as jelly beans, but then I was shocked by that. I was like, oh, jelly beans were around in the 1850s? Only to find out in a short search online that apparently jelly beans only were named jelly beans apparently in 1860s. Well, that's the earliest historic reference that they can find. So dynamite I think also was not patented until the 1860s, but it's used in the film and also referred to as dynamite, not only in the script but also in the movie. Mandingo fighting. Apparently there's no historic basis for Mandingo fighting. And the fact that the film is cartoonish, the fact that it's not real history, okay, you can get certain things wrong. All films probably do that. The filmmakers are not necessarily historians, and they can sometimes include things that fit into the story but do not really fit into history. The danger of that is that we have very little exposure to the history of slavery in this country, and a lot of people, their only real exposure to that history will be seeing this film. And people are going to be walking away from that, especially in reference to how slaves were treated and who was really behind slavery and things like Mandingo fighting and things like that. They're going to take that as real history. They're going to assume that that was a part of the real history. Why wouldn't they? Even though they know it's a movie, if this is their only exposure, they're going to take things from it. And also what you are shown in the film is the involvements of African Americans in the slave system. And especially from Samuel Jackson's character, you see a story that shows even the character that Django played when he was in character in the movie. It shows a black participation in slavery, which I think is played up by a lot of people who want to spread the guilt of slavery away from certain groups to other groups. And I think it's a dangerous play on history to do that, because no matter what his motivations, no matter how evil the character he was, the Samuel Jackson character was still a slave. He still was owned. He did not have a real free choice in the matter. So it's a lot of troubling things that are on screen in Django Unchained. And I just wish that people, even if you do enjoy the movie, and it's not a problem with enjoying the movie, but even if you do enjoy the movie, you're willing to think about some of the other issues that other people are bringing up in relation to this film and not just ignoring it because you love the movie. You can still enjoy the film, but consider some of the issues surrounding it that are being brought up, and not just ignoring it, saying that the people bringing up these issues are just haters and just hate Quentin and just, you can like the film, but you do want to look at this and you do want to recognize that there can be arguments that have merit on something that you do enjoy. Well, that's all I got to say about this. I'm also going to post some links to certain comments on the film and also to the script in case you do want to read it. But that's basically all I have to say about Django Unchained. Peace.